All right, now let's turn attention to the heartbreaking and devastating killing of a Nigerian lawyer, Bolanle Raheem, who was killed on Christmas Day. Very sad incident indeed. Now we see the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who has vowed to ensure that justice prevails in the killing of the lawyer in the Ajah area of Lagos State on Sunday by a police officer. In a statement shared on his Twitter handle on Monday, Sanwo-Olu also expressed his condolences to the bereaved family. He tweeted, quote, "With utter shock and sadness, I received the news of the unfortunate and avoidable death of barrister Bolanle Raheem at the hands of a police officer at Ajiwe." Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has also condemned the shooting and called for urgent police reforms. Of course, this isn't the first time we would be having cases of extrajudicial killings, especially by those who are supposed to be protecting us, the police. They say the police is your friend, but are they truly our friend?
That's the question you want to ask, and I think Sam is also here to shed light on that. It's good to have you here, Sam.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Oh, well, maybe you should start first. I mean, I would like to get your thoughts. With what we've seen over time, even before NSAS, after NSAS, up till, this very sad incident, do you really think that the people can confidently, say that they trust the police to do their job in terms of securing their lives and properties?
First and foremost, I would say that the citizens are overwhelmed and they are kind of disappointed with the kind of police force we have in this country. This is like a second phase of the NSAS, right? And I don't know how long the government will keep reforming the police force till they get what they actually expect of this force, actually. Because complaints actually came when we had so many excesses coming from the police force. I'm talking about the SARS. Till they decided that, okay, the SARS issue should go off so that at least people should have a sign of relief, so to speak, because of so many things SARS as one arm of the police has done. And they decided to dissolve that arm, then started floating other arms like the police and other, parastatals of the government. Looking at what we're seeing today, I don't understand, or I really don't know what we're going to call this. Are we going to say that there should be another reform that should be done in the police force? I don't understand. How should somebody not understand the rule of engagement when it comes to crimes, or when it comes to some kind of civil unrest, or to some certain things that are not too clear to them? I don't understand how they should carry out...
The most pathetic thing about this situation is the fact that no crime was even committed.
Exactly.
The fact that it was Christmas Day, she and her family went out to an eatery to eat, and then on their way back, they wanted to take a U-turn at the Ajah area, and then in the end, the police fired a shot at the vehicle, and then it hit her on the chest, and from there she started bleeding. They took her to the hospital. The hospital, the first hospital rejected. Now, there are so many issues involved in this.
Apparently.
So many issues, so many, things that could be avoided. For instance, the hospital rejected somebody. Okay, maybe they did not have the capacity. We would get there, of course. And then later they had to, the process of even taking her from hospital to hospital could have aggravated the situation. So in the end, we have lost somebody. No matter what manner of punitive action that the police wants to take, no matter what level of consequences that would come on the police officer, which we know may not even be commensurate to the crime committed. It's not enough, would not even bring back the life that has been lost.
I was even about saying that because we've been seeing statements coming from several people, high places in authority, saying they condemn this in the highest term, in the highest tone, whatever they call it. My question is it going to bring back the dead or the life that has gone? That's one. Two, how long now is it going to take before justice is brought to this issue? That's my concern, because you keep hearing people say, oh, they will bring this person to book, justice will be done. Okay, I don't know if you listened to the news yesterday when a clergy actually decided to celebrate the festive, period by going to a correctional center, looking at the congested nature of the correctional center, as they call it. people staying there for so many years without taking to court to be tried. At the end of the day, these people, when they are finally taken to court and they are confirmed, not guilty.
Innocent.
And I mean,
wasted years.
So I don't really understand the kind of country we are in. You understand? So it's really so concerned to me looking at this kind of case. When is the justice going to be brought? Is it still going to bring back the life that has been lost? What happened to the children of this, woman? So something has to really be done, honestly.
Well, quite a handful of things, really. When we talk about, incidents like this happen and we say there should be police reforms, again, you want to ask yourself, what reform are you calling for, or what reforms are you requesting for? There's the place of decentralization of the police structure, whereby you can have, state police, even community policing in that sense. Will that still address the issue of extrajudicial killings? I do not think so. Now, there is also the reform of retraining and all of that, bringing them up to speed with, the 21st century level of policing and all of that. Yes, some of these officers can definitely go for those refresher courses and all of that. But will that still change, who they are? Because it's not just about going for those courses. Some of them just think, okay, let me just go for the course so that I can get promoted or I can be eligible to be promoted. They are not going for it in order to imbibe.
Get the knowledge.
Exactly. Now, you look at it, there's the place of refresher courses, as they call it, or training courses, and there's also the place of incorporating those lessons into actual policing. Now, what informs these, random acts of extrajudicial, extrajudicial killing, oppression, exploitation, and all of that we sum up as police brutality? These are the questions we need to ask. Now, Benjamin O'Day, a popular journalist, gave a bit of analogy to these things, that the crisis we have within the Nigerian police force is more of a political crisis than even, a security one. And he explained that you have those who, your police officers who, or let me use your policemen who are on the roads, who do the whole park here and all of that, checkpoints and the rest of them, that they are, in quotes, mere recruits in that sense. They just go for like a 6 months course and, they get them incorporated into the police force, as against those officers who actually go to the Nigerian Police Academy, which is a complete 5 years, course, and you get your certificate afterwards. It's more like, a university degree in that sense. He explained that process of even getting in has been highly politicized. You need to know someone in the upper, echelons of government or the police force to be able to get your name on the list of those that will be admitted into such an academy. Again, this is, based on his own narrative. If that is true, you can easily see where, the issues are. You cannot deny the fact that someone who goes through a 5 years proper training, a 5 years course of policing, will probably come out as a better officer than someone who goes through the 6 months. Exactly, that's just for 6 months. Now, that's one. Two, you also understand the place of, we've talked about remuneration and all that, they are not well paid and all of that. So some of these officers, they've been given a gun, they've been recruited over the course of 6 months training, they feel that they now have the power, and they need to also, in quotes, change their standard of living. So if it's going to require exploiting the people, oppressing them, whatever it is, they won't mind going through that. And that explains why we have these issues in the system. He went further to talk about, these recruits being recruited from, probably those ex-convicts, criminals on the streets and all of that, going through that course just as a way of, okay, just get in. Now, again, if that's true, it shows you where we are as a people and as a nation.
But in the end, the whole NSAS protest started from asking for a better welfare package for the police.
For the police.
That was part of the
demands,
5-point agenda and all of that. But in the end, the people that we were fighting, or that the NSAS protest was about, were the same people who were against the protest. So it's looking like they don't even need the help or the whatever advocacy that the people are calling for.
It's not that they don't need it. You know, let me chip in.
Is?
It's because they're benefiting from the status quo. For example, there were reports that a police officer could be getting as low as 25,000 or 30,000 per month, some 40,000, and there were talks of 20% increment and all of that, or even 40% increment. You look at, even if it's a 100% increment, someone who is getting 40 would end up getting 80,000, right? But these guys know that if they continue in that, criminal acts of theirs, they can get more than 80,000 in a month. I mean, you have instances where Nigerians give testimonies of their, accounts from policemen. They were forced to withdraw 200, withdraw this, withdraw that, So if a policeman knows that he can get 200,000 there and probably divide among his friends, maybe in a day he can get 50,000, 80,000, which amounts to his salary in a month. Do you think such a police officer will want it to stop?
But
these are some of the issues.
A whole vicious cycle. It's a big kettle of fish, especially when you look at Bolanle Raheem's case.
Yes.
For instance, looking at the medical aspect, the fact that after she was shot, she started bleeding, and then she was taken to a hospital, and then the hospital rejected her. This isn't the first time. In fact, some hospitals would ask for police reports in a very precarious situation, a situation where it has to do with life and death. You know that this person might pass on any time.
Yeah.
So in that case, they have the capacity, but because of one
they were just money conscious,
police report or whatever it is. But in this case, your report was that they didn't have the capacity to handle the case. What's your reaction to that?
Anybody can hide under the pretense of they don't have the capacity. You and I know that in this part of the world, life is not treated as sacrosanct. And we've seen several times when the government will issue orders, issue warnings that no hospital or whatever they call themselves should reject any patient in such a situation. We've seen situations whereby government will tell us they've exposed the police, the police force into several kinds of trainings, making sure that their welfare is well taken care of and all that. Yet we still have the same issue. So something really is wrong.
So it's possible that her life could have even been spared if she got immediate
Obviously,
attention.
there are professional ways to handle such issue. When you know that this person is about going off, I mean, speaking of life, you should have at least salvaged that situation while there are teams who will go after, getting reports and other processes that they are.
But I thought they already, legislated against this police reports, hospitals asking for police reports, especially in a life and death situation.
Exactly, but we've said over time that the laws aren't the problem for us. It's about the implementation. So the law is there. I think again we've had instances where we hear that a hospital rejects a patient because they do not have the capacity, and yet they do not even offer first aid. It's one thing not to have the capacity because it's probably major surgery and you do not have the necessary equipment. We understand that because probably you're a small hospital, a primary health care center, or what have you. That's quite understandable. But not to even offer first aid, that's another issue entirely.
Some of them are also very scared of having morbidity cases in their hospitals. They don't want a case where they start offering first aid and then the patient passes on, and then it's in their record that the patient passed on in their facility. But these are issues we need to begin to look at, apart from the fact that a lot of hospitals are ill-equipped in Nigeria. They don't have the facilities and equipment and all that they need to take care of patients. There's also the case of this lackadaisical attitude, which has to be dealt with, nipped in the bud, especially when it comes to life and death. Imagine if she got the proper attention at the right time. Her life could have been spared. Maybe, one or two losses, but at least we'll still have a human being.
Yeah, that's true, because I feel that even if they don't have, as they claim, the necessary equipment, if they wanted to help, first aid would have been administered. While they're also thinking of how or where to refer her to. And you would have seen that willingness to help. While they're doing that, someone is calling the nearby hospital, letting them know of the next patient they will be seeing, making them understand the urgency of why they should have.
So how much is the life of a Nigerian worth? From the police, from the medical practitioners, from the university lecturers, how much is the life of a Nigerian?
To be very honest with you, it is worth nothing. You and I know the way we even treat ourselves in this part of the world. How much more the police, who are to a greater extent underpaid.
And untrained.
Even if they are trained, if they don't have that, what I'm going to call enough funds to take back home, it will not boost their performance, so to speak. Because fine, they are trained, but what about their parents? What about their welfare? You know, their needs. When you are not well taken care of, you will see it in the way you carry out.
But so you see, this issue of remuneration is a quite controversial one, because the question would be, which private company or which organization or which yeah, we know there are some sectors who get, especially in tech sector, who get some good pay, but if you look across all boards, you discover that a lot of people do not are underpaid, underemployed.
Exactly.
So should we now say that, look at teachers are really underemployed, underpaid? If you look at every sector, a lot of people will tell you, well, I'm also underpaid. I don't have enough to meet or to meet up with my needs. So should I act in accordance? Should teachers begin to train their students or to give their students below par because they are undertrained, or rather because they are underpaid?
Honestly, they might be forced to do that. Some of these people, you should also consider the fact that they might be coming from a very far distance. Now, looking at the fact that they are not well paid, how would they be able to get to work at a very convenient, condition or situation and still have that strength to teach?
It would even have an impact on their mental health.
I mean, some of them too might not even have something to eat because they are not well paid. Others will be going out during lunch.
So the aggression is transferred to the citizens.
You should not you should not just look down on it. It's a necessity. You must meet it if you want these people to perform.
Again, as I said, when we talk about issues of being well paid and all, even if the average, the lowest ranked policeman is getting probably 100,000 per month, because of the status quo as it is now, he will prefer to benefit from this and get maybe 30,000 than get 100,000 and it doesn't have means to these, other dubious ways of getting funds. As I said, we've heard of several reports that a policeman, stops you, they force you to make transfers and all, sometimes to the tune of 500,000 naira. And then you have maybe just 4 policemen within that checkpoint and they share like 100,000 each or something. So if a policeman knows within a day or a week he can get his month's salary from such dubious means, do you think he will be willing to have that system stop? It won't. Now let's go back to the issue of recruitment again. It talks of the recruits, 6 months crash course and all of that, and the accusations, or rather allegations, that some of them are recruited as ex-convicts and all of that. If you recruit criminals or folks who are not of notable character into the police force and you arm them with guns, you're already empowering them to perpetrate whatever heinous acts they either were committing before or intend to commit. Again, we need to look at how we recruit in the first place some of our gallant men and women in uniforms. You can't go to the streets and just pick thugs and put them on uniforms, maybe LASMA police officers or VI or whatever it is, and you expect them to act accordingly.
There's also a case of drug use.
Exactly.
I was about going there. I don't even know if they do any mental test on them, just aside from the usual fitness,
Which fitness? Have you seen the number of pot-belly officers we have? Which fitness? No, it's the truth. Which fitness? The DPO in question, did you see the picture, the photo of, that was disgraceful. When Benjamin Udin said that the NBA had paid the visit, to the DPO at the Ajiwe police station in Ajah, in fact-finding mission and all of that, and there was a photo up which was ridiculous to start with. Did you see the DPO there? His pot belly is probably bigger than a woman who is 9 months pregnant. I'm serious. It's just what it is. So when I say fitness test, what fitness test? We tend to see these men on the road. Some of them, we probably know them as neighbors, or we know, or I see him around the street and all of that. What fitness? As I said, again, we need to look at the very basic, which is the recruitment to start with.
There's something wrong with that.
Exactly. If you get people, again, if if the allegations are true that, you know, people that are recruited for those crash courses are those who are probably ex-convicts or, you know, criminals or what have you, or thugs, you do not expect them to change overnight. So regardless of whatever 21st century, you know, refreshers course, training course and all of that you give to them, it's about the personality. And it still boils down to the political crisis we have within the police force. Because even the IG gets order from above. We hear these things, we hear it, it's order from above. So if people have connections and are able to get into, you know, various places that they do not deserve, then you know quite well that it will still boil down to how the system is operated. So the Nigerian police force as a whole needs more of a total, you know, reform. And it's not just in terms of decentralization, talking about state policing or community policing, because the same thing would happen if we have state policing and, you know, community policing. All these issues of police brutality, exploitation, you know, extrajudicial killings, we'll still have them if the man in the uniform is not reformed in his mind to understand that the community he polices is the same in terms of, you know, equality as he is, and trust is mutual and should be earned rather than feeling that he's empowered as a result of the gun he has.
The funniest thing is all of these rhetorics about them not being trained and them going for crash courses is that those who are not being trained, who are on the streets, who are getting power drunk, who are exploiting people, reports to those who are already trained. So what's the difference?
That's the point.
You are trained, but you're getting dividends from the proceeds of the crime.
Exactly. Now that's the point. That's why I said it's just a messed up system. According to, you know, the reports he gave at the time on the student yesterday, it said those who go for the NPA, that's Nigerian Police Academy, the 5 years course, that when they graduate, they get automatically ranked as ASPs. That's Assistant Superintendent of Police. So, in other words, both the police recruits and the officers in that sense, they all have a part to play in all of these mess that we find ourselves in. Because you hear those men also say, we have a guy top, we have DPO that we're remitting to, or we have a guy
that thing is really true, because I ran into one very funny scene a couple of days or weeks ago. I just went somewhere to, you know, urinate or something. Obviously, that place looks like a dump site. So there was no sign to tell me that I'm not supposed to urinate there. I never knew that the guy was somewhere. So he sent his boys to come and meet me, that I'll be arrested. I said, arrested how? He said, you urinated here.
Well, these are some of the issues. So it's not one straight jacket solution. It is something that has to cut across every area, every sector: training, recruitment, remuneration, and all the issues surrounding the police force. But we hope that justice is served. We know that the NBA has said that they would look into the nitty-gritty of this and ensure that justice is served Bolanle, Raheem, and we really send our condolences to the family and wish that her soul rests in peace and strength for the family through these times. We'll take a break now. We'll be back for more. Please stay with us.